Good morning, grade 9s, and welcome back to Quarantine English with Mr. Fouché. As you can see, today we are doing activity 3 on page 80. Yes, we are working in your textbook, so maybe you feel more at home today. Well, you're already at home, but you know what I mean. So today we are doing tenses in this activity. I would also recommend, of course, you go and fetch your textbook so you can work with me from your textbook. But I will at least read the questions to you so you'll know what's going on. But for now, yes, it's on page 80. Let's get started with this tense activity. Yes, there was my attempt at a joke. Let's continue. We've got was, which indicates something that is singular, but also in the past. We want to bring it to the present tense. And to do that, I can use two different words, am and is. I will use am if I'm talking about I, and I will use is if I'm talking about one singular thing, like the dog is lazy. To go to the future tense, you will add the auxiliary verb, will, and then, of course, whatever the verb is. Okay, so will, then you can say something like, the dog will be lazy. Okay, that's in the future. Had indicates a perfect tense, so we are in the past perfect. We need to go to the present perfect, and there are two words that can replace this one for the present tense. Remember, had is used for both singular and plural things. So now, the two words that I'm looking for are has and have. If I'm talking about one person, like he has done his homework. That's one thing, then I will use has. If I'm talking about a group, I will say they have done their homework. Okay, so if your present perfect tense ever goes to the past, you will notice just had replaces both singular and plural auxiliary verbs. To go to the future, it will become will, of course, plus have. Okay, have here is very important because it indicates that the perfect tense has tagged along to the future. Now we've got a regular verb, which means it changes in a regular way. Treated becomes treat. And here you can see what this common thing is. If you've got a regular verb and you want to take it to the past tense, you just add ed. And obviously, if you've got a past version of this verb and you want to take it to the present tense, you just take the ed away. And then you'll get the normal word for the present tense. If I want to take it to the future, very simple, you just add will. Okay. Next, in your textbooks, you will see it says promise and promises. So that's just showing you the different versions of the word. So first of all, promise is for plural things, promises is for a singular thing. But it doesn't matter really for this activity. We are talking about tenses, not if something is singular or plural. So promise will change to promised, which also is a regular verb, but you will notice I just added a D, okay? Whenever your word ends on an E and you want to take it to the past, you just add the D, you don't make it promised, okay? That would be bad language and wrong. Then, if I want to make this future, again, same rule. As you can see, the future tense tends to stay the same, or not the same, it's just very simple. So it just becomes will promise. Next one is not so regular, which the opposite of regular is irregular. So think is not going to get an ed, making it think, because that does not exist. We are going to get thought. There you go, and you thought you knew everything, but now you think differently. Okay, I'll just continue with the lesson. Anyway, to make this future tense, we're going to add will. Will think. Again, just adding will makes things future tense. Now, for the first time in this activity, we actually get the future tense form of our verb, and it is will get. Now here, I'll just use get as my present tense. And you'll notice it is irregular as well. It doesn't change by getting an ed at the end. We actually change the vowel, which becomes an O. Got is the past version of that verb. And that is it for our activity 3, page 80. We will now be moving to the next activity, which is also a transactional writing piece. Magic. Okay, so today we are doing the diary entry, which is activity 4, page 81. You will notice they ask you to write a diary entry as if you are someone else. I'm going to change it. It's going to be a different activity, tailor-made for you guys. But before we even go through what the diary entry is and all the different formats of it all, I quickly want to talk about the writing process. I know you're probably very bored about it, about hearing about this writing process, and you tend to skip 1 to 4 and just start with 5, which is a very bad mistake. Try not to do that. Let me quickly explain to you why it is important. So first of all, planning. This should not take you very long. To get a plan into your head about doing a transactional writing, or perhaps it might be an essay even, this will also work for an essay, you need to get a key idea into your mind and just quickly write them down. You will notice that, well, if you've got your structure ideas correct, you will start writing down what am I going to write in my introduction, and you can plan that quickly. What will my first point be I'll be talking about? That's your planning. Second point, third point, how am I going to tie it together? You just write these things in very key ways, basically on the page, and that is it. That's your planning. The spider diagram is the easiest way to do this because it links everything that is supposed to link together, which makes it quite simple to use. But you don't have to use the spider diagram. You can use your own type. But now it brings me to the first draft, which is the one that you guys skipped for some reason. I don't know why. Not all of you, of course, but many people tend to skip the first draft. What the first draft does is it will very quickly give you an idea of what you had in your mind, which is all good and well. But then, after you've done your first draft, it is usually accompanied by the following 2 points. And that is what makes the first draft very good at what it does. It will highlight all the mistakes that you might have made. Or perhaps you were quick in writing. You were just trying to beat the clock, and then you notice you've got some time left. Now you can find better wording for your essay, better wording for your transactional writings. So that's where these rules will apply. First of all, you're going to edit it. You're going to make sure, are my tenses correct? Did I write 1 point per paragraph? Perhaps I need another paragraph, who knows? Maybe you made some spelling errors. You know, if you're writing very quickly, it does happen. Everyone makes spelling errors if you are under stress. So you need to check if all of these things are fixed in your essay. Then, when you have done them, you proofread it. You need to make sure that everything still makes sense when you read it as one entire thing. I guarantee you, if you keep reading, you are going to find mistakes or find ways of improving it constantly. Rules 3 and 4, which are so commonly skipped, are the most important rules when it comes to your writing. And I do suggest you take them more seriously, grade 9s. And the last one, your final, obviously needs to look very neat, but I think you guys know how that goes. It's quite a simple rule. But 3 and 4, please try and remember to pay more attention to them. With that out of the way, which was quite a mouthful, let's get through how to do a diary entry. Now, when it comes to transactional writings, especially in your paper 3, many people go for the diary entry. I can see why, because it is probably the easiest format. All you need to do is you write a date, you start with Dear Diary, and you write 1 paragraph, and you're done. There you go. Sometimes they ask you for 2 entries, then you just copy paste. There you go. Just something else in your paragraph. It might look simple. And it, in a way, is the easiest transactional text to write. But what you write in your paragraph is what truly gives you marks. And it is something people do not always know how to do. So let's go through the basics when it comes to your diary entry. Now, the very first thing you need to do is write down the date. Okay? Preferably at the top, of course. It needs to be at the top. It needs to start everything. And preferably to the right. It's just an easier, a better way of writing this. So let's say, what's today? Today's lesson is taking on the 1st. It's 1st of June, 2020. What a great year it has been. So there's my date. Now, directly below this, I can start with my greeting towards my diary. And I start like this. And you are going to notice that diary is spelled with a capital letter. Why? Because it is a proper noun. It is a name of something that you are talking to. In a general sense, you have given this book a name, and it's called a diary. Some people even make this more personal and they give their diary an actual name. This is also acceptable if you really want to do this. So if you want to call your book Fluffy, why not? Just remember to spell it with a capital F. So that is your greeting. It's quite simple, and pretty much that's all for format. Now we get to your actual content that you'll be writing. So to focus on the content inside of this paragraph, there are a couple of things you need to focus on. Number one, it is going to be about you. So first person. What this means is you'll be using words like I, me, myself, and you get the point. You can't be talking in the third person because that would be like you writing a diary about other people's lives and you don't know what they think, of course, so how could you do that? So first person, very important. You keep talking about yourself. The next very important thing to do is to write with emotive language. Okay, emotive language, we have gone through this in the first term. It means emotional language. So language that that communicates emotion. You're going to say how things made you feel. Something else you can write down here as well. Try and be in the present tense when you talk about emotions. Okay. What I mean by this is not that your entire paragraph needs to be in the present tense. Remember, a diary entry is you recalling the events and how they make you feel. So remember your emotive language. So this made me feel like this. Try and keep that present because that is how you feel when you are speaking to the book, so to speak. But when you recall things, so talking about prior events, then you are in the past. There you go, in the past. So that is also important to remember. Your tenses here are going to fluctuate. You are going to be in the present where you say or you feel like this, and then you will tell your book what happened and why you feel like that. Then it will go back to the past, and then you might reflect upon what happened during the day at the end. All of these things are very emotional. You need to really focus on this word here. If I am honest, this one is quite self-explanatory, but this one here is something that you guys skip a lot, and many of you focus on the events. So you will say what you did, and let's say it was a camping trip, and you will talk about you set up the camp, you sat on a wooden stool, then you had a braai, then you went to bed, and there you go, end of your diary entry. That's a horrible diary entry because there is no focus on emotion. Okay, try and focus on it. If I were you in your planning stage, start writing down emotions that you can explain. Okay, make everything about the emotions. Then your diary entry will take a better form, so to speak. Okay, so today's activity, we are still doing one, of course. You guys are going to be doing this activity, and you are also going to get another activity that you'll be doing by yourself. But I'll get to that one now. For now, activity 4, page 81, you need to write a diary entry of 90 to 100 words. That stays the same as in the actual activity. But I am going to change what this is all about, the event. We'll make it a prior event. Yes, it is about COVID-19, but don't worry, it is more of what you would expect to happen. So your scenario is as follows. It is the day before going back to school, and you are going to write a diary entry about what's happening during this day. How are you preparing for the next day? Perhaps you're writing about your emotions, of course. How do you feel about going back to school? Are you excited? Or are you nervous? Maybe you haven't seen these people that you call friends in quite some time. There are quite a few emotions you could go through. And that is your activity for this one. Write about the day before going back to school. Okay, a diary entry about that. Now, you will also be doing activity 6. Okay, so activity 6 is about a comrades winner who stands firm. It's a little comprehension test. It won't take you too long. It is on page 83. I will actually write it down for you so that you can remember, of course. Okay, so for homework, obviously it will be, don't know why I just erased it, but anyway, activity 4, page 81. But remember that the topic has changed. And then also activity 6 on page 80. Let's have a look. 3. Okay, and this activity in the next lesson, we will mark it to make sure you have done it correctly. Well, grade 9s, that's all the time I have for you. So I hope you enjoyed the rest of your day, and goodbye.